James Harrison Coburn III was a towering figure in the new Hollywood era, creating a cinematic image synonymous with cool, with a calm, mysterious yet dangerous demeanor. He was beloved by the public for his distinctive husky voice, his grin, and his ability to effortlessly transition between action, cowboy, and comedy roles. His career peaked with an Oscar in 1999 for his portrayal of an abusive, harsh father in Affliction. However, behind the glittering aura and his never-losing-his-head-on-screen persona, Coburn's life was overshadowed by a secret, lingering pain and a personal vendetta so deep it was intolerable. This tragedy turned one of his most iconic film projects into a painful memory. We know that Coburn hated Yul Brynner, his co-star in the 1960 classic The Magnificent Seven, more than any of his colleagues. This rivalry was not just a small on-set feud, but a clash of professional philosophies, a contempt for the hypocrisy and ego in the movie business. Was this public hatred the root cause, or just the culmination of a spiritual and moral crisis that a professional artist like Coburn faced? And did this professional rage go hand in hand with a much more severe physical and mental struggle? Rheumatoid arthritis that turned Coburn into a rock, forcing him to give up his career for nearly a decade? Let's explore the mysteries and hidden truths behind James Coburn's turbulent life. James Harrison Coburn III was born on August 31, 1928, in Laurel, Nebraska. Coburn grew up during the Great Depression, an experience that shaped the resilience and quiet strength he would later bring to many of his iconic roles. His family moved to Compton, California, during his early years, where his passion for performing and storytelling began to blossom. After serving in the United States Army as a truck driver and radio announcer during the Korean War, Coburn studied acting at Los Angeles City College and later trained under the guidance of renowned acting coach Stella Adler. Coburn made his television debut in 1953 at the Four-Star Playhouse. He quickly gained recognition for his powerful screen presence and unique voice. Coburn's big break came in 1960 as Britt, the taciturn, knife-throwing cowboy, in the classic Western The Magnificent Seven. The role was given to him at the suggestion of his friend, Robert Vaughn. Britt perfectly captured Coburn's charismatic nature. Cool, calm, mysterious, yet dangerous. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Coburn cemented his reputation as a major movie star, starring in action films, westerns, and spy satires. He was most notable for his starring role as Derek Flint, the satirical super spy, in Our Man Flint, 1966, and its sequel, In Like Flint, 1967. These roles showcased not only his physical prowess, but also his comedic skills and gentlemanly demeanor. In addition to his role as an action star, Coburn also brought emotional depth to more complex characters in critically acclaimed films such as The President's Analyst, 1967, and Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, 1973, where he collaborated with director Sam Peckinpah. Coburn's collaboration with Sam Peckinpah continued in Cross of Iron, 1977, a complex war epic which Coburn even directed in the final scenes due to Peckinpah's drinking problems. Coburn was not only an actor but also a profound artist. He was part of the legendary Hollywood Rat Pack, hanging out and sometimes working with such greats as Steve McQueen, Bruce Lee, and Charles Bronson. His friendship with Bruce Lee was particularly notable. Coburn was not only a student of Lee's martial arts, but also an admirer of his philosophy. The two shared a mutual respect that transcended fame, and Coburn later served as a pallbearer at Lee's funeral in 1973. Coburn was highly regarded by critics. Critic David Thompson once described Coburn as a modern rarity, an actor who exuded a lazy yet funny sensual side. Thompson said that Coburn increasingly became the brightest spot in his films, smiling discreetly as if he were in touch with some deep source of entertainment. Off-screen, Coburn was known for his intellect, worldliness, and powerful bass voice. He had a particular interest in philosophy, jazz, and world travel, which gave him a sophisticated and curious appearance. Coburn also had a deep interest in Zen and Tibetan Buddhism, and he collected sacred Buddhist art. Coburn had two important marriages. His first, to Beverly Kelly, lasted 2 decades from 1959 to 1979 and produced 2 children. This marriage coincided with some of his most iconic works, such as The Magnificent Seven, The Great Escape, and Our Man Flint, demonstrating that stability in family life can be a solid foundation during a high-flying and demanding career. More than a decade later, Coburn found love again and married Brazilian-American actress Paula Murad for the second time on October 22, 1993, in Versailles, France. Paula was not only a supportive partner, but also a deep collaborator in Coburn's charitable and artistic endeavors. Together, they founded the James and Paula Coburn Foundation, a nonprofit organization that supports educational, artistic, and medical projects, especially initiatives related to rheumatoid arthritis. Their relationship was known to be warm, respectful, and strong. However, alongside the limelight and a relatively private personal life, James Coburn faced two serious crises, one public and one private, that contrasted sharply with his cool guy image. Although Coburn was known for being calm, rarely losing his temper, and getting along with most of his co-workers, his breaking point was Yul Brynner. The feud began on the set of the 1960 film The Magnificent Seven. From the moment the two met on set, the tension was palpable. Yul Brynner, already a major star thanks to his Oscar-winning performance in The King and I, displayed a regal demeanor that many interpreted as arrogance. Brynner demanded top billing, expected unquestioning obedience from the cast and crew, and frequently clashed with director John Sturges over creative decisions. Brynner also insisted that the camera capture him in the best possible light and angle, even if it disrupted the entire flow of the scene. For a star-studded film like The Magnificent Seven, where character chemistry is paramount, Brynner's behavior quickly became a point of contention. James Coburn, on the other hand, was a professional actor who valued collaboration. He took his roles seriously, respected the crew, and enjoyed working with his colleagues. However, working alongside Brynner was a major test of Coburn's patience. Coburn was reportedly irritated by Brynner's constant need for control, whether it was placing himself in the foreground of every scene or demanding that the script be rewritten to include more dialogue. Brynner's ego seemed to know no bounds. One particular incident became the tipping point in this simmering feud. While filming a group scene, Brynner flew into a rage when he realized that Steve McQueen, another actor who had a famous feud with Brynner, was secretly stealing the scene by fiddling with his hat and making small, attention-grabbing gestures. Brynner stormed off, threatening to quit unless the scene was reshot with him as the clear focal point. Coburn, who had no patience for diva behavior, reportedly rolled his eyes and muttered that Brynner was the biggest fucking kid in the West. From that moment on, Coburn no longer saw Brynner as a colleague, but as an obstacle to the film's success and the embodiment of everything he hated about the film industry. Coburn's grudge against Brynner was more than a personal rivalry. It was a clash of two opposing philosophies of life and work. Personal philosophical reasons. Coburn was a man who was described as thoughtful, kind, and deeply loyal. He found common ground with unassuming professionals like Charles Bronson and Robert Vaughn, whom he respected. Coburn was interested in Eastern philosophy and spirituality, via Bruce Lee, placing a value on self-discipline and inner strength. Brynner, in Coburn's eyes, was a whining prima donna, more concerned with his own image than the integrity of the film. Coburn's dislike for him ran deep. He hated not only Brynner's demeanor, but also the tense, contentious, and frivolous atmosphere Brynner created on set. Systemic causes. For Coburn, the experience was a painful lesson in how fame and ego can undermine artistic collaboration. Brynner, as an established star, abused his power and fame to manipulate the creative process. That lack of professionalism and control was in direct conflict with the team spirit that Coburn valued. Coburn was forever marked by this early confrontation. Although Coburn never publicly criticized Brynner, those close to him knew how deep his contempt ran. In later interviews, he often avoided discussing Brynner, offering curt remarks or changing the subject. Coburn would occasionally refer to the Magnificent Seven later in life, but not with nostalgia, but with a grimace and a quick jab at that regal nuisance. Ironically, it was this personal antagonism that perhaps created a certain tension in the performance, adding a layer of realism to the portrayal of rugged individuals forced to work together. If the feud with Brynner was the most public professional tragedy that defined Coburn, then severe rheumatoid arthritis was the insidious personal and physical tragedy that nearly destroyed his career. The disease was first diagnosed in the late 1970s, the moment of no return. This debilitating condition caused severe chronic pain and limited his mobility to the point that Coburn had to put his acting career on hold for nearly a decade in the 1980s. The arthritis deformed Coburn's body and caused great pain. In a 1999 interview, he recalled, "You start turning to stone. Hey, my hands are twisted now because the tendons are shortened. The pain was so great that every time I stood up, I was sweating." The reinvestigation. Proof of resilience. For 20 years, Coburn tried many treatments, both conventional and unconventional, but none worked. However, in true Coburn spirit, he never gave up. Coburn found a significant improvement in his health through a combination of holistic medicine and the use of MSM, a sulfur compound. Although MSM did not cure his arthritis, it did reduce his pain, allowing him to move more freely and continue his career. This health recovery was a resounding triumph, culminating in his winning the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in 1999. This win was not only recognition for his performance, but also a tribute to his enduring talent and perseverance through physical pain. The tragedy was personal, health, but was closely linked to Coburn's philosophy of life. He maintained his passion for martial arts despite the damage the disease had done to his body. Coburn credited Bruce Lee with giving him a broader understanding of body movement, breathing, and inner strength, which later helped him cope with his health problems. His struggle with the disease and his comeback proved that the tough guy image he portrayed on screen was not just an act, but also a quality cultivated in his personal life. Coburn and his wife Paula even established a charity to support healthcare research, especially initiatives related to rheumatoid arthritis, leaving a lasting charitable legacy. James Coburn died of a heart attack on November 18, 2002, at his home in Beverly Hills at the age of 74. His wife, Paula Coburn, recalled that they were sharing an intimate and peaceful moment together, listening to jazz music, one of Coburn's great passions, just before he collapsed. He died in her arms. His sudden death shocked fans and colleagues, especially after he had just experienced a significant career resurgence due to his improved health. Coburn's loss was not only a loss to Hollywood, but also to his family and friends. The tragedy was compounded when Paula Coburn died of cancer less than 2 years later, on July 30, 2004, at the age of 48. The truth about Coburn's rheumatoid arthritis and his struggles with it brought unexpected depth to his public persona. His cool guy persona was defined by his composure and ability to handle any situation. However, his disfiguring illness and near-decade absence from the industry revealed the fragility of even the greatest screen heroes. He demonstrated true resilience not through his on-screen actions, but through his quiet personal battle to overcome his pain and come back and win an Oscar in his later years. His public animosity toward Yul Brynner was also symbolic. It represented Coburn's outright rejection of the frivolity and toxic ego of showbiz. For Coburn, Brynner was not just a hateful colleague, but a symbol of artistic decay. James Coburn's life and career is a story of dramatic contrasts between his revered, cool image and deep inner tragedy. He is remembered as a gifted actor, a loyal friend of Bruce Lee, and a man who fought a painful illness to reclaim his career. His uncompromising feud with Yul Brynner is more than just Hollywood anecdote. It is a testament to Coburn's professionalism and integrity, who refused to let his ego interfere with his art. At the same time, his secret struggle with rheumatoid arthritis throughout the 1980s added a new layer to his enduring image. True resilience lay not in his stunts, but in his ability to endure chronic pain and his determination to come back. Coburn left a legacy of talent, professionalism, and strength of spirit. The revelation of these burdens raises a haunting question. Do you think the public image celebrities must maintain inadvertently conceals and exacerbates their own personal crises, or does the pressure force them to develop a cool persona in order to survive in the cutthroat film industry? Coburn's career, caught between his hatred of others' egos and his own battle with his own pain, remains a lasting reminder of the price of fame and true resilience.